This video will guide you through the process of submitting security research findings to the Microsoft Security Response Center. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll cover the benefits of submitting research findings to MSRC, what to expect as your submission moves through the case management process, and tips and tricks for the best possible experience. The Microsoft Security Response Center, or MSRC, is part of the Microsoft Security Division, reporting to Microsoft's Chief Information Security Officer and responsible for responding to vulnerabilities in Microsoft products, services, and technologies. MSRC's mission is to protect customers and Microsoft from current and emerging threats related to security and privacy. To achieve this, MSRC has many functions, including the monitoring and defense of Microsoft's cloud and cloud services, the sharing of vulnerability-related intel with security partners and customers, programs to incentivize and recognize researchers who submit their findings to Microsoft, knowledge and best practice sharing with the community, dedicated teams that conduct proactive security research and penetration testing, and the management and release of fixes to vulnerabilities discovered in Microsoft products, services, and technologies. Security researchers and the discoveries they submit are a critical component in the ongoing success of MSRC's mission. Each month, an average of 281 critical and important cases are fixed. Over the past 5 years, this has added up to over 32,000 cases that have been resolved, many of which coming from security researchers who submit their findings to MSRC. And submitting to MSRC can be financially rewarding. In 2023, the average bounty award for bounty-eligible cases was over $11,000. Since 2019, over $70 million have been awarded to security researchers across the globe for their discoveries, the most of any bounty award program in the industry. As of 2024, there are over 5 billion people with regular access to the internet, browsing the web, sending email, creating documents, playing games, paying bills, buying groceries. Considering the scale of Microsoft's platforms and services, from Azure to Windows, Office to Exchange, and Bing to Xbox, the potential impact of security researchers who submit their findings to MSRC, helping keep these technologies safe, cannot be understated. If you discover a possible security vulnerability, issue, or threat, the first step is to submit a report of your findings via the MSRC Researcher Portal. Head to msrc.microsoft.com/report to access the MSRC Security Researcher Portal. MSRC accepts a wide range of submission types or reports. The most common report type is a software or service vulnerability discovery, which we'll use as the example type throughout this video. Other types of reports MSRC accepts are URL-related threats. This means malicious or illegal activity being hosted from a Microsoft-owned domain. IP address threats. This means malicious or illegal activity being hosted within Microsoft's IP address range or targeted at Microsoft products, services, or customers. OAuth application issues. This means the abuse of OAuth, such as fraudulent publishers, suspicious or malicious apps, and the misuse of data. And malicious content, such as artifacts, text, or URLs found in the Azure Community Gallery. There are a number of report and request types that are not accepted by MSRC, but are handled by other groups at Microsoft. Please use the relevant contact information on your screen if you need to report or get assistance with the areas that are not part of MSRC's scope of work. Once a researcher submits a report, the MSRC case management system creates a Vuln ID to track the submission and a CRM ID unique to the researcher. The submission then moves into the review stage, where MSRC staff determine whether there is enough information provided with enough detail and supporting evidence to justify the creation of a case. If it is determined there is enough detail in the report to create a case, then the submission is assigned a case number and moves on to the next step in the process. If it is determined there is not enough detail or information to create a case, an MSRC team member will reach out to the researcher to request more information or clarification on the submission. If there is no response, or the additional information provided does not meet the bar for the creation of a case, the submission will be closed. Let's now take a look at the full MSRC case lifecycle and the actions taken by MSRC and the submitting researcher as the case moves through each stage of the process. The process begins with the researcher submitting their findings and receiving Vuln ID and CRM ID tracking numbers. The submission then moves into the review stage where MSRC staff will triage and assign a case number if it is determined the creation of a case is justified. The review stage can take up to 48 hours, but is often completed in less time. If the report meets the bar to be cased, it then moves on to the repro or reproduction stage, where MSRC staff use the information provided in the report to reproduce findings, determine root cause, and assign initial severity and impact scores. During the review and repro stages, researchers may be asked to provide more information or clarification to aid in triage or reproduction. Depending on the complexity of the case, the repro stage can take between 1 to 2 weeks. Next, the case moves into the develop stage. During this part of the case management process, MSRC staff develop a remediation plan and work with the relevant engineering teams to design, develop, and test a fix. This is also when the bounty review process begins to determine if the case is in scope for a bounty award, and if so, what the award amount should be. If the case is within scope for a bounty award, and a bounty is awarded, the researcher will be informed and asked to confirm how they would like to receive their bounty award payment. We'll break down the bounty review process a little later in the video. Once the develop stage is complete and a fix has been created, the case moves into the pre-release stage, where operations teams plan for the deployment or publishing of the fix. Microsoft Cloud services are administered by Microsoft. Therefore, fixes to cloud platforms and services can be deployed as soon as they are ready. Fixes for on-premises software, which are administered by the customer, are typically published via the Security Update Guide on the second Tuesday of each month, also known as Patch Tuesday. During this stage, documentation, customer guidance, and acknowledgements are published. The amount of time required to move through the develop and pre-release stages varies significantly based on many factors that we'll look at shortly. Combined, these two stages can take anywhere from a few weeks to several months. Once a fix is deployed or published, the case stays in the pre-release stage for a minimum of 30 days as part of our commitment to customer safety and the principles of coordinated vulnerability disclosure. This 30-day window is to allow for the discovery of and response to any issues with a published fix, and to ensure that customers and partners have enough time to deploy or configure updates to the products, services, and technologies they utilize before the full details of the remediated security issue are made public to non-impacted customers. Once it is determined that there are no issues with the published fix, and a minimum of 30 days have elapsed since the fix was published, the case is marked complete, and researchers are free to publish their findings via blogs, academic papers, conference presentations, etc. On average, the amount of time required to resolve a case ranges from 45 to 180 days. There are many factors that influence the amount of time required to resolve a case. Some factors are beyond the control of the researcher and are due to the nature of the vulnerability discovered. For example, cloud services and technologies are owned and administered by Microsoft. Therefore, fixes can be developed and deployed at any time. Current versions and pre-release beta or insider versions of a product take priority over non-current versions and versions that are out of support. Vulnerabilities with evidence of an active exploit are prioritized over those where an active exploit is not detected or unlikely. And finally, critical and important severity rated cases are often given priority over cases rated moderate or low severity. However, There are several actions that researchers can take that have the potential to significantly reduce the amount of time required to resolve a case. The first action is the submission of a high-quality report, which we'll look at in a moment. The second is ensuring the inclusion of a working proof of concept with detailed reproduction steps. The third is using the researcher portal for all communication with MSRC. This means not using email or social media, as these are slower and often insecure channels that are more difficult to track and verify. And finally, responding to requests for clarification or more information within 72 hours. Combined, these 4 actions can significantly reduce the amount of time required to resolve a case. Conversely, submitting low-quality reports, not including a proof of concept, using email or social media for communication with MSRC, and significant delays in responses all increase the time it takes to resolve a case. So, what is a high-quality report? In short, a high-quality report means a submission that saves MSRC teams as much time as possible in understanding and assessing the issue and developing a comprehensive fix. The more information you can provide, the better. A report is deemed high quality when it includes the following elements where applicable: accurate identification of the product, service, or component impacted, along with the version name or number, vulnerability type or class, and the potential impact of the vulnerability were it to be exploited, target and reproduction environment details, as well as detailed reproduction steps, a working proof of concept that demonstrates how the vulnerability functions, a detailed and correct analysis of the research findings, and finally, recommendations for how to remediate the vulnerability. This step is optional, but can have a significant impact on resolution time, pointing security engineers in the right direction to identify root cause and develop a fix. Let's now take a look at some examples. In this example, a fictional researcher has submitted a report that was eventually assessed as valid. However, due to the lack of information provided, significant time was required by MSRC engineers to fill in the gaps necessary to identify, assess, reproduce, analyze, and remediate the findings. Subsequently, this example was deemed low quality. In this next example, the fictional researcher has included a lot more information. However, several key elements are missing, again requiring extra time to identify the impacted version, the vulnerability type, reproduction environment and steps, as well as an analysis of findings. While this report is much better, the missing pieces result in a grade of medium quality. In this final example, the fictional researcher has submitted all the elements of a high-quality report, which enabled the submission to move through the case management process as quickly as possible. And so, whenever possible, ensure you create and submit all the relevant elements that make up a high-quality report. While it may seem like extra work up front, a high-quality report will almost always lead to a faster resolution time and can result in a much higher bounty award. The support of security researchers is critical to the success of MSRC's mission, and so we invest in a number of ways to say thank you. MSRC gives researchers the opportunity to receive public recognition via the MSRC Acknowledgements page and CVE records. For on-premises software and critical cloud service vulnerabilities, Microsoft, as a CVE naming authority, issues CVEs. For non-critical cloud-based vulnerabilities, Microsoft issues online service acknowledgements, also known as OLSs. For full details, visit aka.ms/MSRC acknowledgements. As of July 2024, there are 22 active bounty award programs, with more being created each year. Bounty programs and awards are targeted at the highest impact research, with award amounts ranging from $500 to $250,000 US. Whether or not a submission qualifies for a bounty award is directly related to the potential impact to Microsoft and Microsoft's customers if the vulnerability were to be actively exploited. This also means that not all products and services have bounty award programs. Some common out-of-scope submissions are non-current or out-of-support versions of on-premises or client software, such as Windows 7, 8, 8.1, 10, and 11, Office 2016, 2019, and 2021 apps and suites, documentation, samples and resources, community forums, and third-party add-ons. For full details, visit aka.ms/MSRC bounty. Once a case reaches the develop stage, the bounty award review process begins, determining first whether the case falls within scope of a bounty program, then whether the case meets additional requirements for a bounty award, such as severity and exploitability ratings. If it does, an award amount is calculated based on the potential impact of the research. Once calculated, this information is shared with the researcher, and they are asked to confirm how they would like to receive their bounty award payment. The target timeframe for this part of the process is 5 business days and 14 business days for Windows cases. If your case is determined to be out of scope for a bounty award, you will be told why and given an opportunity to ask for clarification. An important note is to always ensure you do not access any Microsoft or customer-owned data while conducting your research. Doing so may forfeit your bounty eligibility. For full details, visit aka.ms/MSRC bounty. In addition to bounty awards, cases are issued points, which are used to place researchers on the MSRC leaderboards. Case points are calculated based on vulnerability type and severity, multiplied by any relevant research bonus multipliers, and then finally, multiplied by duplicate weighting, for instances where more than one researcher has submitted the same finding. Each quarter, researchers with 20 points or more from that period are placed on quarterly leaderboards for Azure, Office, and Windows cases, as well as MSRC overall, with special callouts for accuracy, impact, and volume. And at the end of June, annual leaderboards are published for Azure, Office, Windows, Dynamics, and MSRC overall. In addition, the overall top 100 researchers for the year are awarded Most Valuable Researcher, or MVR status. For full details, visit aka.ms/MSRC leaderboards. MVRs receive exclusive and customized gifts each year, as well as invitations to attend Microsoft's annual Security Researcher Celebration event at Black Hat in Las Vegas. MVRs also feature heavily on MSRC's LinkedIn and Twitter, or X, channels, as well as the MSRC blog. And finally, MVRs are invited to present at and attend Blue Hat conferences and to be guests on the Blue Hat podcast to share their stories, research findings, and provide guidance to the researcher community. It's important that all researchers are aware of and understand the legal considerations when conducting research and submitting findings to Microsoft. In this next section, we'll cover rules of engagement, legal safe harbor, coordinated vulnerability disclosure, and MSRC's zero-tolerance harassment policy. In order to reduce the legal risks to security researchers and Microsoft, a number of activities are prohibited as part of Microsoft's rules of engagement. Most importantly, if you discover customer or Microsoft-owned data while conducting your research, or if you are unclear if it is safe to proceed, stop and contact bounty@microsoft.com. It is always better to be safe than sorry. The complete list with full details can be found at aka.ms/MSRCROE. To encourage responsible disclosure, Microsoft will not pursue civil or criminal action or send notice to law enforcement for accidental or good faith violations of our policies. However, it is important security researchers are aware of and understand the terms of Microsoft's legal safe harbor policy. For full policy details, visit aka.ms/MSRCROE. MSRC Safe Harbor. Microsoft is committed to the safety of customers and the principles of Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure, or CVD. This means once a fix has been published, we allow customers 30 days to deploy or configure updates before case details are made public to non-impacted customers. Researchers who impose fixed deadlines or publicly disclose case details not in line with CVD principles forfeit bounty award eligibility. Before making public any details of your case, please contact your case manager to ensure CVD compliance. For full details, visit aka.ms/MSRC-CVD. And finally, Microsoft is dedicated to creating a safe environment for everyone. This means a zero-tolerance harassment policy for both researchers and Microsoft staff. Any researcher who harasses, threatens, or attacks a Microsoft employee, either online or in person, will be immediately banned from participating in MSRC programs, blocked from communication, and if necessary, reported to authorities. And if any member of the research community feels they have been harassed, threatened, or attacked by a Microsoft employee or agent of Microsoft, either online or in person, please report it at aka.ms/reportaconcern. We all deserve to be treated with respect. As a case moves through the stages of review, repro, development, and pre-release, there are multiple points when MSRC will contact the submitting researcher to provide an update or request clarification. Standard updates include receipt of submission, case assignment or rejection, bounty eligibility, fixed target publish date, acknowledgement planning, and confirmation of when a case is ready to be publicly disclosed. If you need to contact MSRC at other times, please do so via the researcher portal, and for specific issues related to bounty or MSRC feedback, use the email addresses on your screen. In summary, the following tips and tricks will help ensure the fastest possible time to resolution and the most efficient and rewarding experience. Always create and submit high-quality reports. Use the researcher portal for all communication with MSRC. Know which products and technologies are in scope for bounty awards and which are not. Understand the case management lifecycle and know when to expect updates from MSRC. Celebrate your bounty awards and public acknowledgements once fixes are live. Consider submitting your research to present at a Blue Hat conference. Don't skip or exclude key details from your report submissions. Don't use email or social media to submit findings or communicate with MSRC. Never harass, threaten, abuse, or attack MSRC staff in any form, no exceptions. Do not access customer data, Microsoft data, or any data that you do not own. Do not breach Microsoft's rules of engagement or legal safe harbor policies. And don't speak publicly about your case until 30 days after fixes have been published. And remember, not all report submissions are accepted and cased. Not all cases are fixed or awarded a bounty. Bounty awards are targeted at the highest impact research. The average time to resolution is between 45 and 180 days and dependent on many factors. The develop and pre-release stages of the case management process take the longest to complete, and during this time there are often no updates to share. If you have feedback on your experience working with MSRC, please email msrclistens@microsoft.com. Thank you for taking the time to familiarize yourself with MSRC processes, programs, policies, and best practices. We hope you found this content useful. On behalf of Microsoft, thank you for being an integral part of the security research community and for partnering with MSRC to help make the world a safer place for all.